Today's episode's brought to you by the Puppy Rumble.
It's high noon.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to High Noon Podcast, the competitive Overwatch podcast. I am your host, Blevins. With me, as always, is Deathblow. What's up, buddy?
Not too much. What's going on? Remembering to unmute my microphone right on time, and I even gave myself up for no reason.
Yep. I mean, I was going to call you out, but definitely. We've got a lot to talk about, man.
So many topics to discuss.
Topics to dog about.
Yeah. Oh man, let's plop our way along here. It used to mean a different thing on this show.
Now
Pup, not plup.
We're pupping.
I'm never gonna.
Oh my god, Pluppy confirmed.
The Pluppy Rumble. I need to see it.
Pluppy. Oh my god. Hold on, BRB. You got to go tweet this out and tag to Vic in it. But we'll talk about that in just a little bit. We've got a lot of housekeeping to go over first. First and foremost, of course, is we've got some new patrons. Patron hype. We've got Marcus P at the $1 level, and we've got Hakeem H at the $5 level. Thank you guys so much for the support there. I did not see any messages from you, so if you're not already in the Discord, go to the High Noon Discord. You should get an invite automatically, but I know that doesn't always work. But head over to discord.me/highnoonpodcast. Get in there. Let me know that you are the patron if it didn't automatically do it, and get me your message so that we can read it out. So yes, again, if you guys want to become patrons, you always can over at patreon.com/highnoonpodcast. A huge help to us. You don't even know how helpful it really is, especially we've got a lot of stuff coming up that additional funds are going to be very helpful for. So speaking of which, I didn't put this down, but our contest winner did receive their London Spitfire jersey. So shout outs to Minty in Discord. If you see her in there, tell her that you're jealous that she won. It was funny because her dad is also in the Discord. And the long story short is that we were brainstorming ways to punish her if she does bad in school that were like Overwatch League related. So I think we came up with a way of forcing her to watch Florida Mayhem intro videos or walkout videos over and over. So much fun to be had there. I also wanted to go over. This will kind of bleed into what I did last week. I actually fired up the stream a little bit, played quite a few hours of games over the weekend on the High Noon stream. Death was there. A bunch of people from the Discord were there. We did horrible. It was great. It was just classic D rank stream. I think we lost 100 points, but Death and I duoed my way back up a couple hours later. But a lot of fun there. And I just wanted to go over some of the Twitch subs that we've gotten. I know that they don't always get the love on the show because it's hard to keep track of them, because for whatever reason Twitch doesn't make it easy they don't send me an email when someone subscribes like they do when someone follows, which makes almost no sense to me. But so I just want to go over some of them. We had Captain Sandwich, Phoenix Phoenix O in Discord. She's a big Aussie in the Discord. We also got Melon Beans, Clibwall, Skittles, Tacos, Torkesh, and Vixia, all either subscribing or resubscribing for multiple months. Thorn, I know, resubbed
Top 500
as well.
Bronze is another one I saw. A
lot of them. A lot of Twitch subs. So I'm gonna try in my free time. I talked with Death a little bit about an experiment that I might do. So I'm not gonna announce it and get anyone's hopes up.
Yeah, then you've definitely got to do it. So.
Yeah, I'm not going to announce it until I actually do it. So, but the long story short is I want to start streaming more often. So if you guys ever see we're going live at a weird time, it's probably me just playing some games. So that should be fun. And you can always check that out. It's right here, twitch.tv/iNamePodcast. It's where I'm streaming. I'm not really going to be using my personal Twitch. I don't really have a reason to. So we'll be using this one. Again, I just want to remind everyone we're Razer affiliate now. So I had someone reach out to me. I don't have them off the top of my head, so I'm not going to go look at it because it'll ruin everything. But if you guys are looking for something on Razer, there are some. I looked at it. There's some things that are actual deals, and you might be able to get some discount on. Some of the other quote unquote deals are you get like a free gift or something, but at the very least it does help us out a lot if you do use those links. If you're going to be buying something from Razer anyway, you can just buy it through our link. It doesn't cost you anything extra. It might actually save you a couple bucks or get you a free gift, and it's super helpful to us. So if that is something you're looking for, the link is in the description, or if there's something that you don't see on there that you do want, just shoot me a message in Discord. I will get you a link to the appropriate thing. So let me know about that. But going over a couple of the things that we've done in the last week, I just about a couple hours ago, I interviewed Tucker Roberts, who, if you're unfamiliar, is the president of the Philadelphia Fusion. Yes, the president of Philadelphia Fusion, the Overwatch League team. Yes, you did hear that right. Had a quick little interview with him. Was really fun, really great guy, and it's a laid back one, kind of like all the High Noon Hot Seats are pretty laid back. So that's going to be out. It's probably I know it's going to be out by the time you hear this, unless you're listening live, in which case it'll be out in an hour or so. But so check that out. We also had a new episode and a new interview on Blackwatch Report. Yep. So check that out. It is on. So Blackwatch Report has its own iTunes feed. So search Blackwatch Report on iTunes. The first episode is on the High Noon Podcast feed, but all the other ones are going to be on the Blackwatch Report one. So check that one out. There's an interview.
So everybody's prepared. That is how Around the Payload is going to be before too long. That's how Foul Play is going to be before too long. So yeah, just keep an eye on that. We're going to be splitting up the iTunes feeds, Blackwatch Report, rather than start another one on the same feed. We decided to just, begin that one off on its own, but we're going to be separating out all the shows entirely. So, be ready to subscribe to a few new feeds.
Yeah, we will. Actually, the feeds are all up. So if you want to go find your feed, you can subscribe to it. You can pre-subscribe to it. There's like a handful of people that already have that just like found it randomly. There's nothing on them, but they're there. So definitely do that. It will certainly be a huge help to us. And like Death said, we are going to be dividing that out.
All right. So of the feeds that have no content on them, Foul Play's winning. So in your face, Around the Payload. In your face. Yeah. Blackwatch Report is killing all of the blank feeds. I'll say that, though.
Good.
Good on
I hope they are.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah, so. They have stuff on them. But in that vein, there was another episode of Around the Payload, another really, really good one. I don't want to give any spoilers away, so definitely check that out. And, of course, another episode of Foul Play, and it was another good one, another one that didn't feature me, so another great episode of Foul Play.
Yeah, so we talked actually in depth about whether or not you're failing us. So, yeah, definitely a good episode there. As always, joined by A. Smith, so even when the Blevins can't make it, I'm not flying solo, so definitely check that out. We do take a look forward at all of the, what is this going to be, like week 6, right? Because there's 5 weeks to a stage, but only 4 stages. All right, so stage 2, week 1, let's go with that. That'll be easier. Yeah. We previewed all of stage 2, week 1, and so keep an eye on that. That should be in podcast and YouTube feeds already. It is right now as we're saying this, and you're we're saying this in the past.
I know for a fact that it is in podcast land at the very least. I'm sure it's on YouTube as well. But that's what we did as a podcast. But Death, anything fun and exciting happened for you individually this week?
Something else to keep an eye out for. We're going to be releasing a top plays of stage 1 video in the next day or two. Also, we're going to have another episode of WTF Mate from Croak on the YouTube. So keep an eye on those YouTube only feeds as well. Those have been so much fun to make, and I just can't thank those two enough for the amount of work that they're putting into these videos. We really, really appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoy them. And I know they love hearing feedback, so make sure you guys use the comments on the YouTube videos. As far as what I did personally this week, and I just played as much Overwatch as I possibly could. And it was honestly kind of great. Like, I didn't, I expected to kind of like feel a little burnt out, like after not playing for too long. I did expect there to be like a little bit of a burnout at the end of the week, I guess, but no, I never really got there. And I just was able to kind of keep grinding, even though those, like, we did have that really, really bad stretch of games. It didn't like tilt me out. I was fine. Like, I just like logged in. I went and got food. I came back and you're like, so duo queue? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Why not? Like, it just didn't even occur to me that I might not want to play. So I was really happy with that. Go figure. You take Mercy out of the meta. And I just enjoy playing this game so much.
Yeah, but Mercy is still an auto pick, by the way, right?
My God, yeah, auto pick. Got you, 100%.
Yeah, that's Tales from Gold tier chat as maybe a section we should add to the show because boy, are there some stinkers in there. But yeah, I did the same. Played a lot of Overwatch. Played a lot of Overwatch. Streamed it. I've just been enjoying Overwatch. I've been trying to play as much as I can. Although I've made it a point to not play when I'm trying to write because I can't like take a break from writing and then go play and then take a break because I'm like, oh, I just lost. I got to play one more, and then it's like 5 hours later. It's like, oh, I have done nothing. So definitely going to want to keep playing, but yeah, I think I'm kind of like I'm done with this season. Like I feel like I'm good where I ended up. I'm a little bit higher than I started. I'm slowly making my climb back up to plat. I think I'll get plat next season, but hopefully they don't nerf Moira. But let's move on and, of course, go to my favorite segment of the show. Which, there it is.
Overwatch Today Meme of the Week.
That, of course, is the Overwatch Today Meme of the Week. And this one comes to us courtesy of Hippo, a.k.a. Fuel Fan Zero, who was a small part of our stream. He was our main tank. And it's a classic. It's a classic like sports one. And it says, I'm paraphrasing here and censoring a little bit, but it's a guy. He looks on the ground. He says, "What's this?" He picks up a flag. It has Team A on it. And he looks over, sees a guy with a flag that says Team B. And the guy looks and says, "Wow, F that guy." It's like, yeah, that's what we should like. Okay, maybe,
that's what we're experiencing right now.
Right,
as
that
Overwatch
is exactly
League
what
fans. That's what the entire Overwatch League fan community is learning right now. That like there doesn't need to be logic. It doesn't have to be personal. It's always automatically personal as soon as that guy picks up the other flag.
Right. It should be both the most and least personal thing because they are a bad human being for liking the other team, but also you can still be friends with them, unless they're a New England Patriots fan, of course. But that goes beyond anything. But yeah, definitely a really good one, and just really telling of like I think we're finally starting to see like people really kind of get into the sports atmosphere of it. Like we're seeing like a little bit of booing here and there. I mean, our Discord has been ripe with the sports fan culture for quite some time. There is all sorts of trash talk. There is some team hating. There's some player hating. There's dissing, bashing. I have gotten to the point where anytime New York loses even a map, I'll get random tweets from people who I don't even think are in the Discord that just say, "Hey Blevins, how about that? How about that Numbani?" I'm like, I don't even know who you are. You've got 3 followers and you're not even following me. How did you even find me? Like, I don't even know where these people come from. I love that. Like that's really what I've been dreaming of, is to just get trolled on Twitter for liking New York Excelsior, even though they're number 1 in the league. They lose a map,
this is where I have to admit that it's me making fake accounts, just trying to get under your skin a little bit. It's good to know I'm failing, though. I can stop.
Yeah, you're failing. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I can stop.
definitely keep doing it. But let's move on, and we've got some news. I forgot to put the actual news. That is the fact that Houston picked up Fact Fiction.
Yep.
So Death, I feel like you probably have some words about this one.
Sure. I love that no other team will get to use Fact Fiction against Houston. Like, that's phenomenal. That's a great thing. Listen, if Muma is sick or if he's burnt out or if something happens, we now have, on a similar tier player to come in and replace him. I don't think his hero pool is as deep. I think he's more of a Reinhardt specialist. Obviously, we've seen him flex off a little bit. I don't think we've really seen him play the Orisa much, anything like that. But I don't think Muma's going anywhere. I love that we have Fact Fiction, though. Again, it's like the AKM situation to me. This isn't like, don't come at me trying to convince me that Fact is going to see a ton of play and that he's going to be a huge difference maker for this team. But he makes the team better by being there to like be in the practice room with Muma and be strategizing with him and just being there in a backup situation. Listen, Houston's one of the teams that missed players due to illness. They had it impact them more than most teams in stage one. So they're, giving themselves a little insurance across their roster, and it really looks like a lot of teams are going more for that depth. So I expect by the end of stage 2 to see most of these teams sitting at 12 players, or at least 10 or 11. I don't think we're going to see very many 7, 8, 9-man teams anymore.
Those days might be over.
Yeah, if only there was 2 podcast hosts that could have been screaming about how much you want to have 12 people on your team for minute 1, and maybe a couple of these teams, more so than just London, would have been a little farther ahead in that regard. But yeah, I don't know. So this was a great signing, not a hugely impactful one, not one I expect to see play out on stage a lot. But sorry, Florida, you don't get them.
Yeah, well, I think if they ever have if there's maps where they definitely want Reinhardt, maybe they'll play him over Muma. Or if triple tank happens, like, there you go.
That's where you might triple or quad tank, depending on which ones are popular. Because you still have Spree in the background, right? Like, if it's Zarya, then it's going to be Spree that comes in. It's not going to be Fact. But if you want Winston and Reinhardt on the field at the same time, then it would be Fact. So there's ways they can use them, but it's going to really take it's going to take a meta shift, I think, to really, really have him see any regular amounts of play.
Yeah, which a meta shift that we are, kind of predicting, I think. But, we could be totally wrong. But we'll definitely see that in a couple of days. But I'm just hoping it doesn't end up being like a Numlock situation where he comes and just sits the bench. I mean, I guess Houston already has a couple of players that are doing that. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'm sure he's going to be happy. It's probably a net positive to be on an Overwatch League team than to not be on one. I guess unless you like really don't. Well, I don't know. I'm sure it's good for him, or else he wouldn't have signed. Especially considering that there are players that are unhappy with their positions. So he kind of knew what that was going in. But let's move on to the real news here. Puppy Rumble.
I mean, I think that better fits in tournament talk. Because I want to break it down.
Okay,
I want to really look at it.
Fine. We'll go. We'll go.
It's tournament talk.
Okay, we've got tournament talk here. And okay, we'll talk about the less important thing first. Okay.
Yes.
The the college Fiesta Bowl happened, and for what it's worth, it was a really well done event. Unfortunately, like the TESPA thing, like it was like basically just the finals that were shown. So like I watched a bunch of the finals. Casting was great. We had ZP Crumbs and Jamerson as the main desk casters, and they did a lot of classic Blizzard behind the scenes stuff, interviewing some of the players, and it's really kind of cool to see like the college players and the college students like really taking Overwatch seriously. So that was really cool. We did end up seeing UC Berkeley win 3-0 over UC Irvine. I know I was really rooting for University of Toronto, who I knew was in there. It was in the mix in the playoffs. Obviously, they're like 2 hours away, so they're kind of like the hometown team, and it was kind of like the world versus California. But definitely a really cool event. I kind of wish like they would do like that TESPO was more like public, almost like Contenders is in a way, and like Open Division, like if it was almost like integrated as part of the path to pro. But I know it's kind of like it's almost like parallel to it in a way. I mean, some of the players will probably go into the pros, but it's not necessarily like you go from college to Open Division to Contenders to Overwatch League. Like there's a lot of overlap. So, but it is nice to see. I'm really glad they did it. The event looked really sweet. I believe it sold out. And it was like literally in a gymnasium. So definitely a cool event. Would love to see, like, I think the event itself was really great. I would just love to see the build up to it and the lead up to it be a little more advertised and shown. But I guess that's tough to do when you've got so much Overwatch League, so I'm not really complaining all that much. But let's get into the real news here, or the real tournament.
Yeah.
Puppy Rumble 2018.
Absolutely.
Give me the lowdown here, Death.
All right, so Puppy Rumble was played. It was a best of one series here. It was red team versus blue team. They played a capture the flag map here to decide the winner of the first ever Puppy Rumble. It was a really, really well run event. I thought obviously it was casted by Monty and Doa. We had Uber and
you mean Dogga and Puppy Christo.
Puppy Christo? Sure. Fine.
Doga and Puppy Christo. Thank you.
It was a really, really well-run event. It had a lot of the top players in the Overwatch Puppy League. It had Lulu, Zoe, August, Tilly, Florence, Tabitha, Adams, Jefferson, and many, many more. Hamilton, Franklin. I could go on, but I won't for the time being because I mentioned the best one off the bat. It was Lulu.
August.
Obviously, locked in Symmetra 100% of the time. So clearly not a coward. Lulu, a very spunky 8-year-old. I was really, really impressed with what she was able to bring to the table in that matchup. It did end in a 0-0 draw, but I think we have to say that Lulu was the biggest difference maker here. Just constantly in 2-on-1 fight situations and a couple 3-on-1 fights, really held her own. I don't think I had to see her go back to the spawn room even once, considering how many times she was, kind of left alone by her teammates. I thought she did a really, really good job of making things there. I mean, obviously, props to August. Was a very, he was a really good competitor in this event. Really, honestly, if I'm being honest, I thought this tournament was, I mean, I don't want to say ruined, but I'm going to say it was absolutely almost ruined by Hamilton, who was just a bully and like not a nice person.
No, it wasn't like Hamilton. Who was the one that was bullying Lulu?
Hamilton.
No, it wasn't. It was no, it wasn't Hamilton. I know it wasn't Hamilton. It was someone else. No, it was someone with a T. Tabitha. It was Tabitha.
Oh, was it Tabitha? Well, my apologies, Hamilton. I got that wrong. Tabitha was the bully here. Just uncalled for aggression. I thought like it would be equivalent to like running over and like one of the players in Overwatch League slapping one of the other players in the face.
It's like
running
tactical
back over
crouching.
to their computer.
It
was beyond, but like walking over and like tactically crouching on the desk. It was just really, really uncalled for. But I honestly, big props to Lulu for putting up with such a bully, and really just kind of continuing to make her stake here for the MVP, which Monty did give Lulu the MVP at the end of the event. I'd say next time we could do a little bit to help the players in this event.
Yeah,
we were
change the
talking about
format
it
a little bit.
Yeah, just tweak the format a little bit. Like if you just put a dog treat in the flag, okay, then they might, pick it up. And then if they picked it up, you could like call that dog over there, right? And then like maybe we could get a little bit more action in here. I think there's a little bit better gameplay to be had, but at the end of the day, it's just going to take a small balance change, and we've seen Blizzard more than willing to make those changes in the middle of the event. So stage 2, Puppy Rumble, I think it's going to be even better, and it can really only, you'd think it could only go down from here because of how great it was. But I don't know. Lulu won't go back, so it's hard to get better without Lulu. But we'll see.
Right, and I think honestly, they obviously it's Year of the Dog. They wanted to do capture the flag for the format. Okay, we get it. But I think going into stage 2, I think we could have a King of the Hill. Maybe they put a treat or a toy on the top of a hill and have the puppies actually fight over the toy on the top of the hill to control the point. I could see it happening. Maybe I mean, they're very young players, so they don't want to have anything that's too taxing on them in terms of needing to do tasks. So they probably won't have like a race or anything, but if they had maybe 2 CP, King of the Hill, I think it could work. It would be funny if they had like a payload, like if it was like cats or something, they could just put catnip on like a giant toy and have it be like a payload, but I don't know. It'd be interesting. Maybe they could have, okay, so here it is, Blizzard. You heard it here first. You have on the dog's collars, you have RFID tags, and you have a payload that only activates if your players are close to the payload and the payload moves very slowly forward. So they could literally have payload maps in Puppy Rumble. Confirmed. You heard it here first. Stage 2, we're gonna have payload maps for Puppy Rumble.
Yeah, I think if nothing else, we should bring this back, except for I can't be responsible for that many dogs.
None of us have a dog or any connection to dogs or the equipment or the desire to do any of it.
Where there's a will, there's a way. If we wanted to, we could.
I don't think there's a will, though. That's the problem.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I don't have the will to actually.
We're pretty far away from a will right now. But if anyone has access to 12 dogs...
just enjoy it and don't let us know if you have access to 12 dogs.
Just be happy with your puppies. But on the real though, I feel like we kept this charade up way longer than I thought we were going to. So kudos to us
had
for
to
analyzing. On the real though, I thought this was going to be really stupid when I saw it announced. Not gonna lie, and it turned out to be really great for a great cause. And anytime you can get 30,000 people watching puppies on Twitch, I think you've done something good.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the best way possible, it lived up to that level of stupidity that was promised, and like I mean that in the best way humanly possible.
Oh yeah, the casters and the desk just bought into it as deadpan as possible. It was amazing.
It was really great. So props to them for taking the time out of their day to support the good cause. And yeah, so just props to everybody involved. It was a great idea. It was a fun idea. It was executed well. Mm-hmm. And I think stuff like this, it only helps Overwatch reach new fans and to get a good reputation. And it's just a positive thing for literally everybody involved when stuff like this and stuff like the Baby Bay Challenge happens. Mm-hmm. Like it's just, you should support these. Even if they're not your cup of tea, I can't tell you, like the Baby Bay Challenge might have been literally the first selfie I've ever taken in my entire life. But what am I going to do? Not take it when it can have a positive effect on humanity to just man up and do it. So it's one of those things you just kind of got to, bite the bullet, even if it's not your cup of tea, and enjoy it and spread the word. And, one of them will be right in your wheelhouse and you'll think it's the best thing ever. So just support the ones that aren't in the meantime.
Yeah.
And stop being a cat person if you didn't like that.
Yeah, cats, no.
The worst.
But they really are. But we just lost like 90% of our fan base. But
that's fine.
On the real, though, this does, like, regardless of what the event was and what it was supporting, like, A, that was all great. But B, it shows that there can be this sort of synergism with Overwatch League and the Overwatch League team and the content they can produce with non-Overwatch related and even non-gaming related content. So obviously this like all went back towards Overwatch. Obviously that was the life of it, but I could imagine like them doing something for like Toyota or Sour Patch Kids, Taco Bell, one of their sponsors or future sponsors, where they could do with, I don't know, I'm guessing that synergism is a word. Maybe it's not. Maybe I just created another word on the podcast. But you think about how if like one of my concerns was, Overwatch League gets the Toyota sponsor, and it's like, they're the official car of Overwatch. Okay, what does that mean? What does that do for me? I'm really not more likely to buy a Toyota. But if they do cool things, A, they can get the market that Toyota already has into Overwatch, and B, they might be able to do cool things that allow nerds like us to be more likely to buy their products, which I'm fine with marketing like that. Like, people hate ads and people hate that sort of stuff, but like, if I'm like, you're going to get ads. There's no way around it. It's just how the world works in a lot of ways. So if I'm going to get ads, I want ads that are going to be tailored to me, and this is exactly the type of thing.
And it's stuff like this that's going to help the teams reach their fan bases back home and to get some connection to their community. Like, it's just nothing but positives coming out of things like this. So yeah, just big props to everybody involved, like we said, and yeah, way more airtime than I thought.
Right. On like in a serious way, on a serious note, I think that this like was a really big success, not just for the event, but showing that they can do something that has really nothing to do with Overwatch, give it an Overwatch twist, and have it not be completely awful. Think about like before watching this, how cringy that could have been and how awful that could have been. And it wasn't. It was great. It was done well. It was great. Kudos to the Overwatch staff and team and broadcast team, and just good job all around. So yeah, definitely way more time than we were going to give to that, but it was for a good cause, so I don't feel bad. But let's move right along and
let's break it down.
Bringing it down. Of course, we are back into the swing of things. We have Overwatch League matches to talk about. So let's break it down and start with Wednesday. We've got, I was going to say a rematch here, but every one of these is a rematch, or at least most of them are. There might be some teams that haven't faced each other, but it's unlikely. But we've got the Seoul Dynasty versus the LA Valiant here. Death, you've got Seoul in 5. I've got them in 4, and the fans have Seoul. 78% of the fans are picking Seoul to win here. What are your thoughts on this match?
I'm a little surprised that the percentages are that way, considering we just saw it be like, what was it, a 3-0 for the LA Valiant right before this. I think this is way closer than the score says, but at the end of the day, I do think with the time off, like the reset, I think we have to expect Seoul to do a little bit better on the uptake and on the upswing than the LA Valiant are going to be able to be. They weren't really in a panic situation, so maybe their urgency was down. Maybe they decided some time off was the thing to do. I can't imagine that was the case for Seoul. We also do expect, obviously, them to get a boost from not having to play the Mercy anymore, to be able to flex Toby over to the Lucio, maybe even play a little Jaehong on Anna, though everything I've seen and from my play so far, Anna's not been great in this meta. I've been wrong on every meta, so that's why I've stopped like trying to tell you what I think it's going to be and just say, like, let's find out. But I do worry about whether or not Anna's going to see a big boost in playtime. I do expect things to be mostly Moira and Zenyatta, but we will have to wait and see. I think either way, it's an improvement for the Seoul Dynasty. The question is were these problems stemmed just out of frustration? Like, were they stacking support ultimates because they were frustrated by the meta and being forced to play Mercy? Because then it will go away right away. But if it wasn't, and if there were bigger factors at play, then maybe it's not over. So I don't know. This one's very up in the air. I love that we're starting the stage with this one in particular, because I think it's going to set the stage and set storylines going forward. And I think that's obviously going to be really, really exciting and a lot of fun. The one thing I will say, though, is I would really like to see Seoul maybe move into Kuki, because I think they did stabilize on Miro a little bit later on in the stage, and I don't think it necessarily paid off for him. Like, I think they may have been playing better with Kuki in the lineup. So we'll have to wait and see exactly what happens with the tanks, how many we're seeing and played on what map, things like that. But for the time being, at least, I do think Seoul has a slight advantage here. But if you're behind in Pick'em, and I am, so I could have easily flipped this one, and I flip a couple later. This is a good spot to do it. So keep an eye on that. Yeah,
I mean, we did just see LA Valiant win against Seoul Dynasty. I agree with everything you said here. I mean,
Seoul has 8 maps to prepare for this open.
Right, and they're all new. New in terms of Overwatch League, at least. Obviously, they've played the maps before, but if we get to see Jaehong on Anna, I think this potentially flips over. We're not in on scrims or anything, so we don't know what the meta is looking like. I don't think we saw much Anna in the contenders events or the pit championship. I don't believe we saw much Anna in those, so it's possible that we're going to be seeing Jaehong on Zen still, which is not awful, but we're going to have to see what their Lucio play comes out to be. I agree with you that I think Soul Dynasty needs to win more than LA Valiant. I mean, from our perspective, at least, I'm sure LA Valiant doesn't think that. They're probably not as content as we think they probably are, considering where they're at and where.
Well, need to win. I just think like approach to the downtime might have been different, right? Because the expectations going forward, Seoul obviously didn't plan to be in fifth. They planned to be in first or second. They wanted the Outlaws,
and that's what I'm saying is like I think we think that. I don't know if LA Valiant necessarily thinks that. So they very well maybe game planning just as much, if not more. And if that's the case, which it very well may be, we've seen Seoul be able to be picked apart on an individual scale. So I agree with you here. This could be a very good flip.
And I've got it 3-2 for Seoul, and I could easily flip it the opposite direction. I think it's going to be close. It should be a great match.
Yeah, that might be a flip of the week here, which maybe we can start. Yeah, we'll start doing that. I think this is probably the flip of the week if you need to make one. But let's move on. We've got Dallas Fuel versus Shanghai Dragons. You've got Dallas in 4-0. I've got 3-1. The fans have Dallas. 85% of the fans have Dallas winning this one. What's the rundown here?
Sure. So Rascal already has a visa, and Gaguri, Ado, Fearless, and Sky do not. So
and
Dallas, and AKM, I know he might not, right? Because he's a French player and doesn't necessarily have his visa in order.
He might not.
Yeah, he's not like Fact, who's just an American and just has to sign the document because he lives here and he can just play.
Right.
So yeah, it's going to be a little different.
Probably does though.
Rascal is here already, right? And he's been
Rascal's 100% in and has.
He's going to be immediately eligible, and I think he makes Dallas significantly better. I'd have picked probably in the 3-1 range, anyways, if they weren't going to be playing him, or if the trade wasn't going through yet for whatever reason. We don't have any reason to think that. So. Dallas was going to probably run the table on this one, I think, anyway. So this one's not a lot to talk about until Shanghai can bring these players in and start to make some replacements. Just being able to play 5 King on Lucio is not going to flip them around so drastic.
Where do you put this matchup if all of the Shanghai new players are in?
If they were all in, I would still probably lean Dallas because I think there's more catching up to do for bringing in the Shanghai players. But it would be closer, right? It would be definitely 3-1 or 3-2, I would say. And I would be, thinking of it more along the lines of a coin flip instead of a solid Dallas win.
Yeah, definitely not looking to flip this one. At least not until the new players are in. But let's move right along. We've got LA Gladiators versus San Francisco Shock. We've both got the Gladiators winning here. I've got them in 5. You've got them in 4. This one's a little bit closer. 67% of the fans are in favor of the Gladiators.
Yeah, so iRemix is probably not going to be playing in this one. I would expect it to be Fissure. We don't know that for sure, so keep an eye on the starting lineups, in the team's Twitter accounts before the matches if you're really taking the pick'em very seriously and trying to adjust based off of that, because this pick is about that to me. Listen, I think the LA Gladiators are a little bit better than San Francisco by default, right? We're talking about both of their support lines improving by not being forced into the Mercy anymore and being able to play Dak and Big Goose on the Lucio. I do give the edge there. I think Big Goose is going to be a little bit more of an impact player than Dak will.
He's a huge goose
in this scenario. It's not a small goose by any means. So I'm a little higher on the Gladiators than most, I think. I'm actually, spoiler alerts, picking them to have a 2-0 week here. So my flip of the week is different than Blevins' flip of the week because I'm actually going to flip one later on. But yeah, so I don't know. I just think Fissure is iRemix wasn't an active problem. He wasn't making huge mistakes, but he wasn't making plays and winning fights. And that's something I think Fissure can do for this team that he wasn't. So I do think he's going to make them significantly better. And we're talking about teams that they were probably already a little better than. So give me the Gladiators 3-1. I can't remember offhand which game mode it is, but one of the game modes they are just abysmal at, and I don't expect that to change.
Yeah, I'm even against Shanghai. I can't imagine a team I'm picking Gladiators to win 4-0 against. And also, I think I mentioned this on one of the other episodes, or maybe we were just talking about it, but there's not a lot of benefit there's more benefit in if you're not 100% sure that they're going to do a 4-0, pick a 3 to something, because if you go 3-1, that covers, it gives you extra points if they go 3-2, if they go 3-0, if they go 3-1. So you just have it hedges more. Obviously, you can go for the full Monty if you think they're going to go 4-0, but you just get like last week when we picked, or when most people picked New York to 4-0 against Florida Mayhem, you just end up not getting even the 50 extra points because you pick 4-0 instead of 3-1 or 3-2 or whatever. So just a little bit of strategy there. Not necessarily. I mean, pick whatever you want, but if you're looking to hedge your bets more and maybe be a little more safe, if you're up in those rankings, like someone that hosts this show is in the top 10. I'm just saying. I don't want to give away.
Yeah, he likes to make picks and makes picks to troll. And then gets lucky by
paid off.
Starts sit decisions that happen when I can't adjust my rank.
Ding, 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 ding,
So
ding,
you've
ding,
earned
ding,
your
ding,
right
ding,
to
ding,
talk a
ding,
little
ding,
smack
ding,
here,
ding,
but
ding,
I don't
ding,
have to
ding.
like it.
That's true.
What
But yeah, strategy wise, if you're ahead and you want to play it a little safe, pick a 3-1 or a 3-2 over. It covers a lot more things. But moving on to Thursday, we've got, I think well, I mean, you could argue that Seoul Dynasty versus LA Valiant is a big match, but here's the first playoff caliber rematch here. We've got Houston Outlaws versus London Spitfire. We both flipped it on this one. You've got Houston 3-1. I've got Houston 3-2, but the fans have London at 62% here.
Yeah, I mean, come on. London hasn't been able to see what Houston wants to play this stage to copy it in order to be able to beat them, because that's their only chance. Let's be real. No, honestly, these are two really, really close teams. You can pick this one however you want. And honestly, I don't know. Like, looking at Houston's slate here with Boston and London coming up, I think it's very likely, like it's equally as likely, 33% chance that they are 2-0 at the end of this week. There's a 33% chance that they are 1-1 at the end of this week, and a 33% chance that they are 0-2 at the end of this week.
Yeah.
And I personally won't be worried about it no matter what it is, because of the high quality of these opponents that they have to face this week. It's going to be close. You can flip these ones however you want. This one is as close to a coin flip as I've seen from the fan voting here, and rightfully so, because this could go any way. I just can't wait to see it, right? Because this is going to answer a lot of questions. This isn't like, Houston doesn't have to play against the bad teams at the front or anything like that to, like, make people doubt it. No, we're going to see what their plan is, what they want to do here. And I don't know. I'm just really excited to see this rematch. I do kind of wish it wasn't like 3 times in 2 weeks. Like, it feels like a little much, like enough already with these two teams together. But I think that's going to be a regular thing. Flipping the matchups from the previous week of the stage around. I think that somebody said that that's happening like every stage. So hopefully the playoffs have a little more diversity there. Like, as cool as it was in the playoffs to like play 2 of those matchups that day and then run them back again in a couple hours, like now that it's happening a 3rd time in a row, and that was impossible to predict. But now that that's happening, it's like
this one's definitely going to be crazy. I think, I mean, again, we obviously get more of an insight into the English speaking teams, and we just know how emotional Houston was after that loss, and just how much it killed them and how much drive they have. And I think I wrote about this in my individual power rankings write up, that like Houston has that hunger to win. At least publicly and visibly and outwardly, they have that hunger to win, and that's something that you really need to factor into a team. Like, all things considered, like, you don't just go off of what's on the piece of paper, or else it's not fun to watch. Like, it's not chess where the grandmaster beats the lower ranked grandmaster 99 out of 100 times. There's a lot of additional factors, and hunger to win and intimidation factors and all sorts of things are all very much going to be in play here.
And feeling like an underdog too, I think, man. Like, I think that played a big factor in Boston's meteoric rise through the standings here, through the power ranks as the stage went on. And Houston, like, no, there's like, listen, I mean, they're 2nd place coming out of the stage, And we've seen Jake play Genji very well in stage one.
Yeah.
We've seen him play Tracer well in stage one. We've seen him play Pharah well in stage one. But it doesn't matter. People are just constantly second guessing this team and what they're able to do.
Right.
Yes, he's the best Junkrat player in the league. I agree with that. So there's going to be some fall off, but to act like it's going to be so drastic that like they're just not going to function anymore. Like, thank you. Thank you for saying that and having that opinion and putting that out there, because I really think those guys feed off of it and just, you know, roll with it. So I'm a really big fan of obviously the JLOLK, the fact that he's been able to kind of embrace that meme, you know, and just kind of claim it, right? And be like, oh, thank you for starting that, XQC. I know what your intentions were, but you don't get to tell Twitch chat how to feel and what you know what their intentions are when they use it. You
cannot control a Twitch chat. That is for sure.
It is not possible. No,
it is
unless you want to get them. Organism. The only way I've seen anybody able to control them is if you want people to like type "Oh my dog" and Franker Z in chat a lot. You have to do a 6-on-6 puppy rumble.
Yeah, that will
flag match.
Certainly work.
That's the only way I've seen you know anyone able to control Twitch chat.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, like looking back, you know, 6-8 months ago, it's like you have a, let's face it, mediocre player on LG Evil. Or even back for, or no, did he play on Hammers? I don't remember. But you have a mediocre player on LG Evil in Jake now being like the face of Overwatch League in a lot of ways, both personality and performance for his team. Really kind of showcases how great the Overwatch League is just as an entity. But this match specifically definitely going to be a really good one, a quick rematch, grudge match, if you will, from the playoffs. And definitely like this is going to, I think that, you know, Spitfire's going to have some rivals here. Obviously Houston and New York being the top ones, but you know,
Houston and New York want to beat them more than they want to beat Houston and New York right now.
At least that's what we think. I know I want them to win more. But it's going to be another one of those great weeks where both podcast hosts get to root against the same team.
Yep, we sure do hate you hard, London. I'm learning to do that very, very well. So I don't know. It might carry over after this week, if I'm being fair. It might be hard to flip that switch.
In me. It's ingrained in me. I can't
the last note I will say is London has a 1-map advantage here. Houston has 7 maps this week. London only has 6. It's not a big difference, but it might swing things a little.
It's interesting. I mean, both of these teams have to focus equally on both of their matches because neither of their matches are slouches. These two teams definitely have the hardest schedule this week for sure. But let's move on. We've got NYXL versus Florida Mayhem. You've got them at 4-0. I have them at my patented 5-0. The fans have 99% of the fans have New York taking this one. Who in the world is picking Mayhem here? I mean, come on.
Tavik.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, his family, like Swoosh, like he's like making pick'em picks while he's waiting at 7-Eleven to buy his teriyaki beef jerky. You know, that's who I would have to imagine is making that pick.
Yeah, I mean, the only real note here is that Florida maybe will have their new players.
I don't think so.
It's at least a maybe. And
I don't know any of them that are American, and I'm expecting 0 non-Americans to make it in time.
Non-Americans, non-people who are already in Overwatch League.
Yeah, like you trades from within Overwatch League, those guys will be in right away. But other than that, I don't think any, like Zappis, I don't think, he was announced earlier, so he's their best chance. I don't see it. Obviously, Saya player is not going to make it in. Awesome guy. Another Korean's not going to make it in. So yeah, I don't expect them to have any new team.
Yeah, probably not at the very least, or at the very best.
Should have got back fiction.
Should have got him, but they didn't. Let's move on. We've got Boston Uprising versus Philadelphia Fusion. We've both got Boston taking this one 3-1. Fans have Boston 93%. I debated picking a 4-0, but again, for strategy reasons, I didn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, I picked it 3-1 because I think there's a decent chance that even though the good Philadelphia Fusion's been rare at the end of the stage, and they've been pretty consistent. If they show up, they get a map here. That's really what I view it as. I do think Boston's just kind of on another tier here. It looks like the fans agree. Listen, Philly's a good team. Like they're one of those teams they can take a match versus anyone at any time.
Yeah.
So they're not out of it, but as far as matches I'm predicting, I would not.
Right. And it's also worth noting Boston, we assume that they're going to be good, but they might not be because they might not be able to play dive. So new meta might be a killer for them. I don't think they are. I think they've kind of shown that they're better than that. But, this could be a real big swing pick if you're making. I wouldn't advise this one, but if you're looking to get a little spicy, this is one that could flip. But let's move on to Friday. We've got London Spitfire versus NYXL. We've both got NY taking this one 3-2. The fans, this one is probably the most surprising, even though I agree with it. 92% of the fans have New York taking this one. That seems high.
That seems super high. That's honestly crazy high, considering they're 50% against each other in the last week of play. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't. There's no stats to warrant that's that close. So we both pick it 3-2 here. This is going to be really interesting. Obviously, I do think London's kind of downgrading themselves a little bit with their trades, and I get why they're doing it. But I think their ability to be deep and to play, characters players, not characters, like Rascal, do such a great job of keeping other people on their toes, right? Like, if you just prepare Rascal on one map every stage, right? You can just, like, if you're London, obviously Dallas is just going to use them and they're going to be way better for it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just, like, put him in on one map every other week, right? Like, you just keep people terrified. What is he going to play? Like, you just play randomly, play May for 5 minutes and then play Hanzo for 5. Like, and I think that would have created headaches and caused some problems for them. And I think he's a good enough player that there wouldn't have been a big fallout as long as they were smart about the when and where they brought him in. I think they could have really used him. So I don't know. They're losing a little bit of that, pine off the bench factor that New York has. So I do think New York's favored here, but I mean, 92% is just a little crazy.
Yeah, it does look like maybe the stats have leveled out a little bit, but when we pulled it, it was 92. It still looks like it's still over 70%, which is still a little
much
higher.
Closer. But it should be right there with the Houston-London matchup at 62%.
Right.
92% would be too well decided for, like, Houston versus New York,
right?
Which should be a little more lopsided in New York's favor than London versus New York. So I don't know that.
Right.
The fans, at least at that point, were losing their mind. I'm glad to hear it leveled off a little bit in the high set.
Yeah, I think New York has had the chance to see, like, oh, Birdring just dominated us. Maybe we should change that. And, they know that we're focusing Jonak, and they just focus Ark and Jonak. So I think, we've talked about it before, London's main their main strength, I think, is the ability to adapt specifically for teams, and obviously with the new meta, the shakeup, and the thought that perhaps New York is going to know that, and they're going to be able to plan around that London is not as good the first time around at a new crack at a team. But we'll see. We'll definitely see. It's definitely, I would say, even if it is down to 75%, I would say it's still closer than that. But I'm obviously going to be rooting for New York, and I think that New York can take it out in the end, but it's going to be close.
So personally here, the last thing I want to say is I'm really, really curious and interested to see how Ark does moving off that Mercy play. He's a known Lucio player. I don't think he's going to have any major problems, but it's not something I've personally seen a lot of, is him off the Mercy. I really, we've talked about it ad nauseum. At some point we'll stop bringing it up, that we didn't pay a ton of attention to the Apex, and we're just kind of getting to know a lot of these Korean players now, and Ark's one that wasn't very prominently on my radar previously. So I'm excited. I don't expect it to be a problem, but I'm excited to see him flex off that Mercy a little bit and show his versatility. So yeah, it's just kind of the only question mark I have on London going into this stage is just, can Ark keep it up?
Yeah, I'm wondering, I'm even wondering if Jonak is going to be as dominant with him not being damage boosted the whole time. So
damage boosted and just being able to be rezzed, right? Because the picks aren't always one-sided. So what happens to that team if they're completely, centered around Jonak and they're playing against a Widowmaker because it's on the land as a land client,
right,
and he gets picked, you can't bring that back. So that's going to change the dynamic a lot for a lot of players.
Symmetra shield generator is what's going to happen for sure.
I hope so. I hope so.
Me too. Lulu OP confirmed. Let's move on. We've got
Lulu
Dallas.
was game breaking for Overwatch.
True story. We've got Dallas Fuel versus LA Gladiators. We're differing here. You've got Gladiators in 5. I've got Dallas in 5, and the 75% of the fans have Dallas here. Want to talk?
This is my flip of the week. Dallas Fuel have 8 maps to prepare for. The Los Angeles Gladiators have 5. That is a big difference to me, and I think that's going to be the deciding factor. As much as I think Rascal's going to play in this match, and I think he's going to make a difference, and he's going to help the Dallas Fuel, am I super confident that this is what's going to happen? No, because Rascal's definitely a game breaker, and he's a game changer, and he's going to have a big impact for the Dallas Fuel. But at the end of the day, I don't think adding in one more Korean-speaking player to a team that's having communication and strategy problems right now is necessarily going to yield his maximum potential immediately. So this is a little bit just cherry-picking timing and the map pool size and trying to make up a little ground here. I think Dallas is going to be the better team on the stage, and this is one of the only maps where I'm not just like looking at my power rankings and going, I'm just going to not overthink this and let that make up my mind, because 8 maps to 5 maps is such a big difference. Yeah. And you're talking about the second map for each of these teams. I think it's just going to be a little bit of a game breaker here. And I think the Gladiators are going to pull out the win in 5.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see it happening. I'm so down on the Gladiators all the time. Nothing about them excites
you
me.
keep picking Florida, so we'll
Florida
talk about
is at least exciting, and they have new players coming in.
Are they?
They sure are, man. They are awesome, guy.
They have an awesome guy.
They have an awesome guy, though. Gladiators does have a big goose, so I could definitely see it going. I mean, I think Dallas. I'm secretly, I'm not hoping for it, but I'm waiting for Dallas to just return to form and actually
the league
good.
would be better if they were good in that conversation.
Yeah.
If Dallas versus Houston was a knockdown, drag out, like slobber knocker of a fight, that would be perfect. If Dallas was there to give all the Korean teams, the league would be better and more entertaining if Dallas was there. And I'm 100% in agreement with you that I am actively rooting for their return, if for no other reason, because I need their fans to get some confidence to come back. You guys have been leaving me alone.
Right. Their fans are great to bicker with, for sure.
Right. I want them to, and they're not as fun to bicker with. Like, where has Machine been? I'm calling you out, Machine. I haven't even seen you in 3 weeks, man. It's okay. You got your 3 wins on the stage. Come back. Give me a little grief. I need, there has to be a yin to my yang, or it's less fun.
I know. When A. Smith is backing down because stats don't allow him to be up, we need something to be there to knock down.
Right. I feel bad. I don't want it to be like I'm kicking you guys while you're down, but you're my team's rival. I have to kick you at all times. So pick yourselves back up. So I'm kicking somebody that's at full strength.
Right. Bring yourselves back up so we can kick you right down.
Yes.
But moving on, we've got San Francisco Shock. Versus Seoul Dynasty. We've both got Seoul taking it 3-1, and the fans have Seoul in favor. Or 98% of the fans have Seoul taking this one. Is there anything to talk about here?
Well, what I want to talk about is if Seoul loses 3-0 to the Los Angeles Valiant again, would you flip this?
I'd consider
if it looks like the same Seoul as last stage, would you? Yeah. Isn't that crazy that you'd even, under any circumstances, consider flipping this? Obviously, LA is a good team, but yeah, I don't think the Seoul's problems extend. Like, it was a little bit closer than we thought it would be versus San Francisco, if I'm remembering correctly.
3-2.
Yeah, 3-2. But again, like, Seoul had the opportunity. They're a team that I think, similar to the way things ended for them, is a lot like Houston, right? It didn't go like, all right, vacation time, let's take a break. It went like, okay, we woke up the next day and we're not happy. We're in the VOD review room with our coaches trying to figure it out. Like, I don't think there was a break for these guys. I think they're gonna make some strides. And I think those strides at bare minimum should be enough to carry them to a relatively easy win here against the San Francisco Shock. The presence of those problems, though, does have me hedge my bets just enough to call it a 3-1 instead of
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a 4-0 just because I think Seoul has been knocked off that pedestal pretty clearly enough. Unless they do something crazy this stage, I think we're going to be seeing a top of the middle Seoul. I mean, maybe they could definitely shape up, but I don't know. I mean, their
If
schedule.
Anna's a big player in the meta and in the compositions, and they can do it, yeah, they could leapfrog over London, over Houston, but save that.
Right.
I think they're looking at like, getting into that 4 or 5 instead of that 6, 7 conversation.
Right. For sure. Let's move on to Saturday. We've got Philadelphia Fusion versus Florida Mayhem. I mean, I flipped it, but we have you got Philly 3-1, and I'm back on the train, baby. Give me Florida 3-2.
Why? I'm not giving you any analysis on this until you defend yourself.
I want to see it happen. That's why.
Because you want to see it happen. Man, I hope you enjoyed your spot up near the top 10 of the
getting it again. I'm gonna be number 1 after this.
False.
That's true. This is going to be This is going to be just literally me gaining 500 points up on the competition because no one else picked Florida to win.
Right. So, do you want to know how many points away you are? Because it's more than 500.
Okay, whatever. I'm going to make it up in other places too. But
this is definitely where you will lose 500 points.
I don't know.
But I need that to happen. Listen, I think even the bad Philly is able to take this one because I think that's exactly what we saw at the end of the stage. I expect Philly to be a little bit better off here. Florida is just kind of like on life support until they can bring these new guys in and finally get them here. And I'm going to be very excited when they are able to do that. Maybe I'll drink a little bit of your Kool-Aid, but for the time being, I want nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, I got nothing else. It's going to happen. You heard it here first. But let's move on. We got another slobber knocker, Boston Uprising versus Houston Outlaws. We've both got Houston Outlaws 3-2. 72% of the fans are in favor of Houston here.
Yeah, love the fans' enthusiasm. I don't share the same confidence. They're not super confident either, but I think this one is near a coin flip. I would have Houston as solid favorites if the map pool was a little more balanced, but Houston has 7 and the Boston Uprising only have 5 this week. So it gives them a little bit of an advantage and a step up here. But listen, I think anytime these two teams go against each other, we can expect it to go pretty long and to be pretty competitive. I don't expect any blowouts. So either way it goes, I would expect to see it, hit that 5th map, which honestly might even give, the problem here is picking them. I don't know the tiebreak map.
We don't know yet.
And we don't know, right, because if it was a tiebreak map that was played last stage, and I knew it was one that Houston was really, really bad at, then maybe I'd flip this one. And so if we get the tiebreak map situation and you can look at the stats from stage 1, if it's, something that's been repeated, do that, because that very well might make all the difference in the world. But going in blind, this is one where I'm just going to stick to my power rankings, which has Houston a little above Boston here. So yeah, 3-2 Houston. I will be rooting with much more confidence than I'm picking, though, I'll say that.
Right. And again, this is another, it's possible this isn't close. Boston might not be good in this new meta. It's also possible. I mean, I guess that's the case for any team. It's just we've seen Boston be so one-dimensional, though very good and very flexible within that one dimension, but very one-dimensional in terms of what they played. We're not sure. They have not proven themselves to be able to really flex off of that, and this new meta is making us think that they're going to have to. At least a little bit, but maybe not. Maybe they just get to keep running it, and maybe it's just as good. If so, I think this is definitely anyone's game. Again, I think Houston. I mean, they both have that hunger factor. It's just Houston, I think, looks a little bit better.
Yeah, there's no way Boston had that match end and was just like, oh, well, okay, end of stage 1. Good job. Yeah. Good job, team. They had a very similar experience, I'm sure, to the way Houston felt at the end of the playoff match. That was, it was just a brutal way to end the stage for both teams. So they've, like you said, they've got that hunger, and it's just sheer, like a small edge here to Houston.
Yeah. And the last match of the week, we've got Shanghai Dragons versus LA Valiant. You've got 4-0 for Valiant. I've got 3-1. We've got 100% of the fans in favor of the Valiant, which sounds correct. Anything to take away from this?
I think early stages, especially, like you can kind of factor in the quality of the coaching staff a little more than most to get these guys prepared without any tape on the opponent, what they're going to do on the map, without knowing what the meta is, to just kind of come up with the best overall plan to make sure they're adaptive to what the other teams are going to be doing here. And I think Shanghai Dragons have proven to have one of the worst coaching staffs in Overwatch League so far. At least I'm the least confident in their coaching staff. I'll word it that way, because I don't get to know how the game plans they make. I don't get to see any of that stuff, but I just have no confidence in their coaching staff at the moment. So I look for Valiant to be able to cruise here, and I think they're going to get this 4-0 win with a Numb Reality lineup out there. I think we're going to see Numlocked, we're going to see Grim Reality, Lock and Load, play them both. Make it happen, so that would probably make it like a 3-1. But either way,
I definitely want to see him too.
I want to see Grim really, really bad.
I really want to see Grim.
And I do like Numlocked as well. It gives me a reason to share my GIF of killing.
For sure. But that's going to be it for the matches, guys. Let us know what you thought about that. And we're coming up to the end of the show. Death, do we have any new iTunes reviews?
We have so many iTunes reviews this week. It's ridiculous. We have 3 of them. The first one is from Mr. Maniac. It has a 5-star review titled "Perfect for the Drive Home Commute." The show is so entertaining, it makes me want to take the long way home. Love their banter, insight, and passion. They need to bring Mitch Uber back, as his episode was magic on Around the Payload. It really was. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Only problem is they don't show the one true God proper respect is always going to be number one in our hearts, and you look like fools for not admitting this.
I don't know who this is.
Well, who can't we talk about on this show? To answer your question,
McFran.
I won't. Yeah, McFran is the closest I'll come to saying his name. Listen, I think he is the number one McDonald's fry cook in my heart. I will guarantee. I will lock that up and say that's a fact.
He is the first player that we will talk about if he gets signed to an Overwatch League team.
Yes. As soon as he signs, we will talk about him so much that your ears will bleed.
Yeah, we'll dedicate.
I will make a special
hold on, I'm not gonna
McFran only episode that lasts at least 45 seconds just for you, Mr. Maniac.
Okay,
we will put that on the feed.
Confirm that
if he signs, at least 45 seconds
on the feed, but it'll definitely be a
McFran.
YouTube video.
Fair. I won't commit to the podcast. I hope that sates your desire to discuss the man. We also have another 5-star review here from Family Heart. Really good podcast is the title. I love the Blevins and Deathblow. And in parentheses, after my name, it says especially this guy. So Family Heart, I got you, bud. It also says at Seth the Best Man afterwards. So I don't know if that's actually who the especially this guy was about. But I think that's more of like a signature that's telling us who you are, because that name's familiar. I think it's from Discord, but I haven't had the chance to check. Because as usual, I don't look for iTunes reviews until we're already live. And he also goes on to say, I really love your podcast. It makes me want to be more interested in esports. Go New York. So
maybe
he likes me more than you, but he likes your team more than my team.
I'll take that. His priorities are set straight.
He's pandering to both of us in just the absolute perfect way possible. 100%. So great insight there. Family Heart, great job. And thank you for that review. The last one is from Snow Aether. It is a 5-star review entitled I Love the Blevins and Deathblow, and the words in it are I love the Blevins and Deathblow, signed at Snow Aether. So thank you all so much for your 5-star reviews. As always, if you haven't left us a review, please do stop by the iTunes feed. Leave those. Helps us more than I can possibly explain to you, because I don't understand exactly
because we literally can't explain it.
Because nobody's explained it to me, but I do know it's like
no one knows.
Hard and fast currency that helps the show tremendously. So please do leave us those 5-star reviews or whatever star you feel like giving us. I feel confident we'll stand up to the criticism now that our audio problems have been fixed.
Yeah. Leave whatever review you want as long as it's a 5-star review.
Doesn't mention McFran.
I can mention McFran. I don't care. But we just won't mention him by name.
We'll just smudge it out.
We'll wipe fry grease all over it before we talk about it. But okay, that's gonna be it for the show, guys. How much time? Okay, we're at just about a regular episode's length, so that's great. Hope you guys liked it. We're gonna be back to obviously regular, which is like double time episodes with a preview and
more
a
puppy parade
review and a preview. Hopefully we'll be getting some stage 2 puppy not Puppy Bowl, Puppy Rumble news. Eventually, we'll keep you updated on that. But I hope you guys liked it. But thanks everyone for listening. Thanks for all the patrons over at patreon.com/High Noon Podcast. Huge thanks to everyone who's in the Discord. Make sure you go and join that. It is the best Overwatch League Discord out there. Discord.me/High Noon Podcast. I'm going to be streaming more at twitch.tv/High Noon Podcast. All the shows go live, twitch.tv/High Noon Podcast. All that good stuff. You can check all the links to everything, including myself and Deathblow's personal links over at highnoonpodcast.com. All the High Noon productions are there. I think that's it. Did I miss anything, Death?
I don't know. I tuned you out, man.
Good. But that is going to be it. Again, huge thanks to everyone who listened. Huge thanks to Adam Hoek, who put on the awesome outro music that you are about to hear. But for Deathblow, I'm the Blevins. Guys, remember, it's High Noon.
Got his boots and he put on his hat. He threw the coin away that same day. It's in his past and he's not looking back. He says, finding mine now, God's my way. He's not good, but he sure ain't bad. He'll make amends for the sins that he has. He says, I'll change the world one bullet at a time till I find mine.
Exclamation point T-Mobile MVP Lulu in the chat, please. Thank you.